Hey, thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to have a bit of a dive into the impermanence of social media, but most importantly, talk a little bit about how to continue collecting fruits on Facebook and Instagram and other channels while Facebook is constantly changing their algorithm and updating it. Of course, Facebook is not responsible for updates in other social media channels, but Facebook owns Instagram. The changes there also matter to many of us. And I hear that a lot, like a lot, that social media, Facebook specifically, is very frustrating with their changes. As soon as someone finds a way of using their advertising or content is really working for them, whatever their goals can be, Facebook makes changes and everything just disappears or stops working or changes the success, and it's just no longer creating the same results. It's quite frustrating. I can understand that, and I feel that this is very important to address because there are ways of navigating that and not getting around it, but getting with it, really. I want to first mention that nothing is permanent on Facebook. Your success even on Facebook will change. Market changes and your target market changes, your niche might change. There could be differences or the changes in the political system of the country or legal, which may affect your work. And this might be something we're not often thinking about because those things are usually on a much grander scale and they don't maybe happen too often, but they do. And they do affect our market and they affect our messaging. And we have to realign again our business with what's happening. A huge topic that I think requires its own conversation, and we'll definitely dive into one day. But a part of those things happening in Facebook, Instagram, or any other social media channel not really being a permanent fixture in your business that is creating success, or a permanent annoyance in your business if it's not creating success. There is also changes. There are also changes that Facebook is creating or rolling out to adapt to what's happening. The same things might be change in the government, legal system, change in the market, interests of people. So they are actually responding very fast to what's happening all around and how we're using social media as well, rolling out a new experience for us that they believe is better. And you can influence that. Make a note, asterisk here. I'm definitely come back to that because you can influence what changes they roll out. And I want to say that the process of deciding on a change and then rolling it out for Facebook is not a 1 second decision. They usually go through a very long deliberation around it. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I am often one of the first people to see some of their rollouts, so I can see daily changes that take on Facebook. And if I have several different clients of my pages open, for example, I can see even their pages already next to each other looking differently, and they have different functions. Also, Facebook has its own representation where we as consumers, advertisers, anyone can reach out to and give them our feedback. And sometimes it can be a difficult conversation because there are also humans on the other side and they literally don't have the answer, or that particular person at the time doesn't want to give us the answer. Come back next time. But I have influenced a lot of my clients' Facebook pages features that I didn't think were serving anything good for us, and change them back to things that were beneficial for us over several months. And you can actually definitely affect it. But the most important thing with updates is that Facebook is a business. And you and I, we are not paying for using Facebook, which I think we should. Because if we paid as 2 billion users around the world instead of advertising and people who just can afford to put money into Facebook advertising, then we would have been dictating what this platform should look like. Would you pay for Facebook if you had to pay for Facebook monthly, yearly, daily? Would you? And the problem with that is that because we don't want to, advertisers do. And a lot of the times, who has the most money often pays the more advertising. And this is not all that evil. But I just remembered, you go on YouTube and they've got the trailer before something you want to watch, and a lot of the times you can skip it. And sometimes you can't skip it. It's also a feature that is requested by whoever put up that advertising. And when I talked to Google myself, once had a meeting with them, they told me that this is a feature they don't recommend. I don't know, true enough, but they often advise against using that feature and ask advertisers to have an opportunity for consumers to skip the ad. But consumers, or advertisers, sorry, they have an opportunity of choosing which way they want to go. So it's interesting that we go for the pushes marketing and the most, I just lost the word, the most invasive marketing, and the marketing that is the hardest to avoid. But it is easy to avoid it. You literally close the app. And I think we should be closing the app a lot more often. I had a different video about mental health on social media, and I think it is important to revisit that if you haven't yet. We're talking about relying on the changes of Facebook algorithms, and once you figure something out and the algorithm changed because Facebook has to survive, it most likely means that you have something that needs to be adjusted in your strategy. All of my clients who have a very solid strategy have zero even notice of any updates over years now. Not a single client of mine had any changes happening to their results because of any updates falling out. So I actually initially didn't even pay attention to people talking about this, talking about the annoyance of the algorithm updates, till somebody pointed it out for me, and then I had to go and research a little bit more. I never saw that. It never was a problem for anyone I worked with because we always had a very solid strategy, very realistic goals, and we were following a pathway of getting to the very aligned goals. Another thing where Facebook changes is that there is a lot of unethical stuff going on Facebook as well, but just like in real life, really. Just now people have another platform, which is social media or the screens that you're looking at, from through which they can convey whatever they want to convey. And this is just literally taking the world and putting now into Facebook, really, or into your screen on your phone. And it is our individual choice what kind of users we want to be and how much ethical stuff or unethical we want to do. But as a community, when we have a lot of shit going on and when people start being really annoyed about it and start reporting it, Facebook has an obligation to do something about it. And it's very hard to go up to individuals when you have 2 billion members. So they adjust a whole platform and just change things. And sometimes they test them because they're not quite sure whether we are going to like it or not. And we might not have enough patience and we'll push back straight away. Just like the new scheduling tool on Facebook scheduling that I just really don't like. So I reverted it back to for a couple of my clients, not all of them just yet, because I don't like that new system at all. But for the communal good, I don't really know what their data is telling them. So the important thing about navigating the Facebook changes and how to continue collecting results if you've already been collecting them when changes hit you is really the matter of your data and your strategy. If you've been collecting the results, you know what's working for you. All you will probably need to adjust is read what the change is and literally adjust your stuff a little bit. Very often, the campaigns that people run are very random. It's a bit of boosting here, some of content there, and they had some of the low-hanging fruits that they could collect very quickly because Facebook wasn't quite regulated yet. And then it got more regulated because people are abusing the system too much. And of course, it stopped all the honey for them. And there was a very interesting case around that, coming over the year now, but Facebook advertising used to have a third-party targeting. So you could target people by their gender, their age, where they live. You also could target them by how much money they make, what house they own. And all this information came from third-party, which was, for example, you're signing up for a new phone operator and you tick off different boxes in your contract. Some of that information will be sold to Facebook to let it go into the pool of being identified as a piece of that targeting. You become one representative of someone who's making an X amount of money, for example, or has a Telstra phone. And this data would be used by advertisers freely to promote their products and services to those people in that pool. And there was such a big variety of that stuff. You could target people by all sorts of things towards to what kind of chihuahuas they have or a crocodile. And eventually this stuff got removed from Facebook. And it's a fascinating bit. It stayed with Facebook for years, and nobody ever said that it is a ridiculously creepy exercise. The targeting is crazy. This is a very personal information that gets sold off to someone who is now selling you products you probably don't want, because it's still a very broad area. Everyone who makes 50 grand is still a massive area. It doesn't mean that you necessarily want to buy another car. And when it was removed, many people cried poor and saying that it is ridiculous. It's such a good system. We really need it back. Facebook is making it hard for us. But then the other side of this conversation is why we're not crying out more about it. This is ridiculous. Why we are allowing Facebook to target such personal information that was given to someone else, not to them, but someone else who then sold it to them. And why are we allowing this to happen? Creepy, but this wasn't one of the biggest conversations, even though it still made some noise online. I'm very happy about that. Personally, I've been working in social media for a decade now. And I worked in agencies, I worked with clients, and then I worked in my own business for the last 5 years. And I must tell you, this very detailed advertising that is in that third-party pool of information wasn't much of a difference from any other targeting that they have now that is a lot more general, like age and gender. It wasn't really making a difference because it wasn't really the point. Precise advertising matters, don't get me wrong, but it's just not the only thing. And a lot of the times, it's actually the last thing on your list. There's a whole bunch of things to work through before getting to that advertising and deciding who to target. Your messaging, turns out, the wording and your intimate understanding of your target market works better than advertising from the technological point of view, because you speak to your target market. Just finding your target market and hope that it is in this massive pool, it's not really a strategy, and it's not very effective, because we are relying on technology that is telling us that they're guaranteed to reach the target market. But a pool of people who are making 50 grand, for example, is a very broad definition of your target market, because people want your services or products because of the particular needs they have for your products or services, not because they're making 50 grand, as the targeting would suggest. So it would be a particular wording, and it would be a particular image, and it would be that intimate knowledge of your target market that helps you to reach them and then to bring them to become a lead or even convert a sale. So I think strategy is huge when it comes to social media marketing, and when it comes to navigating the Facebook updates. And when Facebook is rolling out an update, they usually roll it out for just a few thousand people, sometimes even a few hundreds. And they look at what's happening and they roll it out for everyone. So it takes a pretty long time for everyone to receive it as well. But whoever is running a very solid strategy and know exactly what they're doing, follow their path, they usually don't notice those changes anyway, because their wording is still connecting with their target market, because their branding still represents to the needs of their target market, and because they are still measuring things that are really important for their business and ignoring everything else. So nothing really matters. So it is an interesting conversation. And it is interesting that I haven't noticed it without someone pointing at it. And I realized that there's still limitations to what I'm saying as well. There's some amazing not-for-profits that, for example, helping prevent suicide or helping rescue animals. And social media, just a little bit slow to assist with that, and a little bit slow to respond maybe to queries, questions, or reach out to help. And in these situations, I feel it's really letting us down, and I feel that the technology needs to be better. But the point is of using social media is working out how this particular tool, social media, whichever channel you choose, fits into your array of, or the arsenal of all the tools that you have. It could be featuring or functioning as a very particular tool in a very particular campaign that you are working on, but it can't do it all. And I think if you are desperately relying on sales through Facebook advertising, and for some time it was creating sales for you, and it's now completely falling apart because of your rollout, I would suggest to look into the detail of their rollout and the detail of your strategy and see where is the shortcoming specifically and reevaluate what actually has been working. And one of the things that I do when I work with my clients is the first thing we do when we start working together, and then we do it a year later, is a social media audit, which I talk a lot about, and you can find a couple of more videos around how to do your own social media audit. But the audit will help you actually see your data. You will be very clear on what isn't working and what is working, and where algorithms are to be blamed, and where it is actually just your work that wasn't quite cutting it. I think we need to take responsibility of how we use social media. But this is not removing the responsibility of those who are the creators of it. And we have the access to them. There's the people you can talk to and the feedback you can send. And the more you do it, make it a habit. And the more you do it, the more as a collective we can change and sway the way we want social media to be for us. But that also means, of course, that you have to be very much aligned with who you truly are and what you really care about. Because if you just want Facebook to be in your sales without doing much, it might not be a good definition for Facebook to go. But I'm sure this is not the case. I hope this helps, and I would love to hear how you tackle the Facebook algorithm changes. So reach out and let's have a chat. Thank you. Bye.